Okay, looks like we are live. Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another recreational programming session with. No, wait. Hold on, wrong guy. Never mind. Hello, everyone.
M.
There it is. Um, made it all the way to M now. It's amazing how poorly. I keep saying this. I intend to do absolutely nothing about this, but I keep saying this. Um, Absolutely no streaming software I have used has ever made me go, hey, you know what? This works well. Never have I seen something that isn't just absolute trash when it comes to streaming software. Um, Incredible. So, uh, does this say that I'm live again? Oh my god. All right. On Wednesday, 2 days ago, 48 hours ago, completely different computer from the one I'm on right now. I was streaming a couple games because I have a semi-abandoned gaming channel. I decided to stream it on there as well. It has a lot fewer subscribers than my normal YouTube channel, but it's dedicated to gaming, so I can leave the VOD up there and not on my programming YouTube channel because, well, it doesn't make sense for it to be there. So I stream to 2 YouTubes and 1 Twitch channel. So I have it set up to stream like that on a completely different computer than the one I'm on right now, and for a completely different stream. Because mind you, like, streams are actually like, each stream is completely different. So today I go prepare my stream and I see on OBS that it is planning on streaming to all 3 channels, to the gaming channel as well. But today I'm doing programming, so why are you planning on streaming to that? That makes no sense. So I manually change it. I press the start streaming button, and next thing I know, I'm live on my gaming channel. It technically still thinks I'm live on my gaming channel. I had to go on YouTube, on the YouTube studio, and like turn off the stream from there, and then delete the like 6-second stream that was up at that point. But what the actual fuck? Like, everything about streaming is just so glitchy, so poorly made, so held together by duct tape. It's incredible. This is like a very big industry, and every piece of software that powers it is just on the verge of breaking constantly. At least that's my experience for it. But I've heard enough to know that that's a lot of people's experience for it as well. Yeah, so this is great. This is wonderful. Okay, but new chat layout. So I'm just gonna align it with my camera. It's not super aligned. I'm trying to align it with my camera. But of course, OBS never considered that you might want to align 2 things, so it doesn't give you the option to. That looks more or less aligned, though, I have to say. Okay. Yeah, anyway, if anyone is working on any streaming software, replacement for OBS, any solutions for streaming to multiple platforms that isn't an OBS plugin or Restream, or anyone is planning on, I don't know, replacing YouTube, please let me know. Feel free to, chat, join my Discord, tell me about it, email me, tell Jester, he'll tell me, whatever it takes. Please let me know. Just test your software a little bit before you release it. That would be nice. Okay. So, I feel like it was kind of loud. All right, that should be better. Okay, now my YouTube, oh my god. Now my YouTube like stream manager is on the wrong account. So I cannot see any of my actual information. I swear to god I could spend more time actually like making sure that my stream is correct than actually streaming, and it thinks that I'm not live. So on the channel that it's not supposed to be live, it's live. On the channel that it is supposed to be live, it's not live. Great, right? Great. Wonderful. Love everything about this. Okay, now it's live. It took about 5 minutes to actually realize, oh shit, you want to manage your actual stream. You're live right now. We're supposed to do this fast. Whoops, sorry. Okay. I'm just disappointed in the state of streaming in general. But there are some changes that I've made to my operating system since I last streamed on Monday. Mostly fixes. I've been focusing like entirely on one thing, which is virtual memory. It is, oh boy, it is complex. I'm gonna put it in a sticky note, but you know what? I'm gonna make sure that there's no passwords on this. I'll be right back. Okay, there's literally no passwords on it. There's just like a tutorial sticky note and then the command for running a Minecraft server. So there, I'm just gonna keep these here for a second. Okay, so I've been working on a lot of different things, and none of it are actually noticeable because all of it is just fixes for virtual memory stuff, because that is just a lot of work. But one thing that I did change is that when something crashes and you get a backtrace, it used to be very common that the system would crash because backtrace would crash. And then also it also used to be very common that the system would crash because it no, not that it didn't crash, it's that it didn't give you very accurate information for where the crash was happening because the backtrace was not super accurate. And that, hi, Isaac. By any chance, do I have any examples of it here? I'm not trying to make the system crash, just to explain it. Well. Okay, this is kind of it. This is the backtrace, but this one doesn't resolve the symbols. These addresses all resolve to different locations. Okay, kind of like this. It crashed at this address, which belongs to boot.s line 113, column 0. But something that was very common was it crashing and showing math.h as a file. Because of the way that my crash handler wasn't super accurate. Now it's hopefully a little bit more accurate. I'm not entirely sure that it will show 100% positive correct results, but it's a lot better. And that helps me diagnose issues a lot faster. Because between my crash handler not being able to tell me exactly where something was crashing, and then GDB being GDB, so completely and utterly useless, it would take me a long time to actually realize where something was crashing. Now it's working a lot better. Okay. So that is pretty much the only visual change that I made. The only thing that is actually noticeable. Because everything else has just been, oh, you know, with virtual addressing, this crashes. Okay, this is why, fixed it. I just have to map it to a higher address, that's it. Hard to diagnose, simple to fix, but not super exciting. But now the system should run better. Okay, I didn't notice this, which is that the system bin read. Okay, this is a little weird. When I'm switching between branches, these two folders that were here were not getting cleaned up properly, and so they crash. Well, don't crash, it just fails to compile. All right, system should work pretty well. Okay, so this demo app works, and then we got a terminal which works, and it can print the contents of a file, except it kind of fails to do that sometimes. That part is not fixed, but it can do that. And let me check actually that all the changes that I made are, yes, they are. Okay, synced up on the remote because I was working on my laptop. They are. And then I was working off of this FS refactor branch, which is what I've been doing, working on the file system on stream. So I'll need to merge the changes that I made into it. I already did it earlier today, but I made some changes since, so I'll have to do it more. I heard mapping or malloking a huge chunk, then writing your own borrower reduces borrower. What the fuck was that? Borrower reduces malloc heap reuse, and you can use and reuse the original chunk if you segment it and use sections of it. Then we don't have to freeze different chunks until you implement bounds checking for each segment. Yeah, that's kind of what I do. That is how I implemented malloc. Although according to the OS Dev Wiki, I should have done that with pen and paper, not with code. And then I should have spent 5 years perfecting my craft before I'm finally allowed to touch a computer. I skipped a few steps. I did it directly in code, but that is how my code works, yes. I was actually considering technically, if you want to get technical about it, I'm giving you an entire page. Whenever you malloc, you have at least 1 page's worth of memory. And then you need more memory, I give you another page, or as many pages as you need. But the allocation then happens within that page, to which you already have access. So maybe I could allow you to malloc within your own page. Essentially making allocations a lot faster because there's no context switching involved. Maybe. That is, I considered that, and then I was thinking about it, and I came up with a reason why I shouldn't, and I don't remember what the reason is. Essentially, malloc would work in user space until you need a new page of memory, and then it would work in kernel space is what I was going for with that. But I haven't done that. And again, there is that one reason. When I was thinking about it, I was like, yeah, okay, that's why this wouldn't work. Or I would need to think about this. And I don't remember what that is. Also, today, I was considering forcing myself to use NeoVim for the stream. It is not going to happen. Don't get your hopes up. If you wanted me to do this, don't get your hopes up. It is not going to happen. Oh god. I downloaded it on my laptop. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that. I'm downloading, I'm not using it. This is a code editor. I understand that it is based off of Vim. I understand that. It is a terminal code editor. The question is why? First off, you have to open a tar file, which at least macOS can do natively. You don't need a command line for that, okay? That gives you this. Share, lib, and bin. All right, I guess. So you can open it. Or not. Because this actually didn't happen on my other computer. What the fuck? This is not supposed to happen. This is just Apple being Apple. I don't know. A stupid fix for that. You have to go into privacy and security all the way down. Allow anyway. Then it will be like, are you sure? You'll say open anyway. You'll have to put in your password, which feels super insecure, honestly. And then you get access to your program. This is ridiculous. It usually doesn't happen with terminal programs. I'm incredibly surprised that it happened. But anyway. I love that the entire first page tells you to help, check health, help. Or I'm assuming if you already know the commands, then you know what to do. But what did I do already? What am I doing? So I tried the first command. What? What? Genuinely, what am I doing here? Help. Are you serious with this? This is ridiculous. Do I have to do that for every library? This is insane. And this did not happen on my laptop, which is also a Mac on the same exact OS version. It's stupid. This is really stupid. But usually this doesn't happen with terminal programs because Apple assumes if you're on the terminal, you know what you're doing, which is a fair assumption to make. But like, this is stupid. This is so stupid. Whatever. I wasn't even going to use it, so I'm not going to bother with it. My point is, immediately I was greeted with, hey, you can follow a 30-minute tutorial or you can watch this 10-minute YouTube video. And I was like, no, it's a code editor. I want to open code and code it. I don't want to bother with learning a new code editor. It's not something you should have to learn. And so I was like, you know what? I am not going to bother. But it genuinely makes me wonder, do developers know that we don't have to live like this? Do we know that actually it is possible to make things intuitive? I would bring up Apple making intuitive shit, but fuck what we just saw. Like, they don't deserve it. They're punished. They're in timeout right now. I don't know what the fuck that was. Linux is stupid in a lot of different ways. Let's not pretend, though. This thing in macOS, though, like, it's... First off, it's incredibly weird that it did it in the first place. And second, it's incredibly stupid that it doesn't allow you to turn it off. When it allowed you to turn it off, I thought it was a good feature. Because, like, genuinely, don't be installing shit without knowing what it is. And don't be running executables, you know, especially in the background. I agree with that. But, like, give me the option to turn it off. Give me the option to say, hey, actually, this is allowed. Don't immediately tell me, oh, you're not supposed to run this. Yeah, bye. When they first introduced this feature, it used to be good. Then, I don't know what the fuck happened. They got, like, so scared about security that they don't want you to use your computer. It's fucking Rust all over again. They're scared of the computer. I'm talking about, I was trying to open NeoVim and I got 3 pop-ups saying that it's on save from macOS because it's not signed. In reality, it's also a business decision by them to get people to pay them $99 a year, so you can sign your binaries. At which point, your signed malware is no longer dangerous, I guess. Because there's absolutely no review process, by the way. You can make whatever app you make, as long as you don't submit it to the App Store, you can sign it. It's fine. So if you want to make malware, you just have to sign it. You just have to pay for it. And then you can make all the macOS malware you want. And run executables in the background without the user ever knowing that you're doing that. You're welcome to do that. As long as you pay Apple for the privilege of doing that. Mac is way safer than Windows and Linux. Even without this shit. This shit does not make it safer. Because, like, it doesn't. Yes, we're making an OS from scratch. Although, I've been informed by Twitter that it is not actually from scratch because I am using a compiler. So, not from scratch. Unfortunately, I am a fraud and a liar. Until I make my own compiler. Alright, so that was number 1. I wanted to use NeoVim today. I wanted to force myself just to be like, okay, let me see what all the fuss is about. But genuinely, besides what I just saw now, that I would have to go through like a million different pop-ups just to open it, that did not happen on my fucking laptop. I'm still not sure why it happened on this computer. It shouldn't happen on the terminal. It didn't happen on my laptop, but somehow it happened here. But, yeah, that. But the main reason I didn't want to do NeoVim today is because we live in the year 2025. I like a code editor where I can edit code without having to learn it. Learn how to edit code. I like intuitive software. What can I say? Possible to make an OS for mobile? Mobile phones are very locked down in terms of hardware. That's the biggest limitation. But yeah, technically, yeah. If somebody made it, somebody else can also make it. Like, there's no limitation in that sense. Another thing I was gonna bring up. Today and tomorrow, I'm gonna be working on file system stuff for my operating system. I have a list of things that I need to work on before I can consider this to be done, and then launch Minecraft, apparently. I want to do these 3 things, right, which I used to have in a file, but then I need to merge, so we're gonna wait. On Sunday, I've decided that I'm gonna make my streams a little bit off topic. We're gonna do a secondary, a side mission. We're gonna do a side mission on Sundays. And you gotta be one of those tech terminal guys that look like from the 90s using monochrome terminal code editors with... Alright, we're gonna wait for that message to finish, I guess. But yeah. It just generally makes me wonder, like, okay, do they know that they don't have to live like this? Do you know that you can just download a code editor where you can just edit the code without having to learn how to edit the code? But yeah, so on Sundays, I'm going to be doing side missions. I've been toying with the idea of a hacking game. I kind of know how I want to build it now, so I'm starting to do that. OS is like Windows 11 and Ubuntu. Windows 11, no, it's fucking shit. So I'm gonna start doing that, and I want to make my game engine, first off, better than it is, but second, cross-platform. So there's Raylib. Funnily enough, Raylib already does what I want to do. So the way that I'm using it is not exactly the way that you're supposed to use it, but if I'm not mistaken, because I've never used it. But the way that it works is that it provides a front end that you target as a platform that then allows you to do cross-platform fairly easily. Because, you know, the way that you work with files on the 3 major OSs, and I think actually they do even mobile. Yeah, they do Android. This is probably iOS as well. They should do a lot of different operating systems and platforms. So yeah, any platform that supports C and OpenGL graphics can run Raylib very easily, or very easily port too. Okay, but that's not what I'm planning to do. That's the funny thing. Technically, the way you're supposed to do things with Raylib, I think it's exclusively for games, but things in general with Raylib is you make it for Raylib, and then Raylib has the backends for all of these different operating systems. So again, the way that you do a file, the way that you do a window, the way that you do audio in each of these operating systems is completely different. But you just write it once for Raylib and it handles the native code. By the way, this is how you do a fucking cross-platform library, not React Native. Windows does use JS for things that aren't UI or web-based. Raylib not for games is fine. Yeah, Windows uses React Native. The React Native is not how you do that shit. React Native is just bloatware. I haven't tried Raylib, so maybe I'm praising a library that's just shit, but I highly doubt it because I've heard a lot of good things about it. The way that it works is it provides you native code. So there is a translation layer between, you know, the code for Raylib and that you write, and then the native code that Raylib uses to power your code in the native platform. But the way that I plan on using it is different. Technically, what I should do is expand Raylib to have a backend for my operating system, and then use target Raylib with my game engine, so that it runs for all operating systems with the same code. So what I'm planning on doing is kind of not the opposite necessarily, but I already have my native code. My game engine is for my operating system. It is native to that. Raylib is just going to provide the backend. So I'm doing a little bit of an extra translation layer because I'm going to do things the redacted OS way. So I'm coding it for my operating system and then translating that into how Raylib does things. And Raylib then translates that into how each operating system does things, except for my own because it doesn't go through Raylib. Not exactly the best way of doing it, obviously, but to be honest, I would want to target these platforms myself. I wouldn't want to rely on Raylib, so I'm only relying on Raylib to provide third-party code. Everything else I want it to be from scratch, so I'm just using it so I don't have to write the same code 3 times for Mac, Windows, and Linux, essentially. Not sure if that made sense, but this is something for Sunday, so I'm just briefly mentioning it because that's what I'm going to be doing on Sunday. If it goes well, if I like Raylib, if I like a Raylib, or if I don't like Raylib, there's also SDL. Whichever one of these 2 platforms, but most likely Raylib, I end up picking, will also help me port my code for everything to multiple platforms. That includes games that I make in my game engine, but also, yeah, I noticed that the stream lagged for a bit. That includes games that I'm using that I'm making in my game engine, but it also includes any other applications that I want to make in the future, such as a fucking code editor, because I'm getting tired of VS Codium, but I don't want to go to NeoVim. And I don't want to use any code editor that has AI, so I'm just going to make my own damn thing. And my own compiler. Because apparently it's not an OS from scratch unless you make your own compiler. That's not the actual reason. It's just funnier to believe that it is. Okay, so Sunday could be a very big day for Redacted OS because I will be able to make applications that run on native Mac, Linux, Windows, and Redacted with just one code base and one library that helps me do the translation layer. Eventually, I will replace Raylib with my own implementation of those things, but we'll get there. Right now is not the time for that. I just don't want to have to write code for 4 different platforms, because I would have to write the code for Redacted, Linux, Mac, and Windows all at once. So it's going to be Redacted and Raylib, and then I'll replace Raylib in the future. Or SDL, like I said. Not sure yet, but Raylib is probably the easiest one. I looked at some code examples and it looks incredibly simple. Okay. More on that on Sunday. Today we're doing file system. First off, I'm testing that all the changes that I made are working. No, they won't work. I'm doing something wrong here. So I need to manually delete this folder. And then it will run. And everything seems to work fine. And there's a picture of my dog, and I can close it, and I can open the terminal, and I can try. No, cat doesn't work anymore. I replaced it with read console. And it doesn't print anything, but it does work. It not printing anything is a race condition. I'll have to fix that eventually. And again, I say that about a lot of things, but I'm slowly making my way through and fixing all of these things. All right, so everything seems to be working. Like I said at the beginning of the stream, but there were fewer people. I was spent a lot of time this week doing the last few fixes and things that I need to do for virtual memory. It's the type of thing that's like a two lines of code fix, but to get to those lines of code takes a while. Oh, yeah, this is just a merge. I don't have to review the code, the changes that I made. And also one change that I made in my crash handler is it no longer reports a lot of stuff as it crashed inside math.h, which it did before all the time. That was kind of very annoying because you didn't know where it actually crashed. Okay, so these 3 that I marked as errors are just very annoying to-dos that I wrote in my code for one I want to work on before I can say that my file system refactor is done. Number 1 is I want to be able to list files because that's currently not a thing. Well, it is a thing because that actually powers. How was I planning on running that? These 2 programs come from listing the contents of a directory. So it is a thing, but it is very limited. So that's one thing that I want to work on. Another thing is anyone can open a file for reading or writing at any point. And I want to come up with a solution for that. I was talking on Sunday. Oh my god, the fucking stream is lagging again, bro. Are you serious? Oh my god. That is so annoying. Is it back? No, it's not. Let me see something real quick. Why is my internet so slow, bro? What the fuck? This makes no sense. Like, what is even happening right now? Steam is not running, I hope. What's this? This should not be running. All right, hold on. Blender? Why are you opening Blender? What the fuck is actually happening? There is nothing running that could possibly be messing up my internet. Wait. macOS is an OS level malware? What? Okay, seems to be stable now. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain smooth streaming. What are you talking about? Now, I am live. Let me see. All right. Well, cool. Gotta figure this out real quick. There is nothing crazy using my internet that could slow it down or anything. Except for Cloudflare. That's the only thing that I can think that could possibly be causing any kind of interference. Oh, okay. I'll have to look into it later. Maybe during the ad break. Seems to be working fine now. But it only happens when streaming from this computer. The other one goes through this computer for networking, so it makes no sense, but yeah, whatever. I feel like it's a configuration problem, not really an internet problem. Okay. Back to what I was saying. I want to list files. I want to consider how to handle, writing and reading to files at the same time, because there are actually there's multiple cursors. Have you considered blaming Restream? You know what's funny is I haven't. No. I'm not on their free tier though. But well, maybe they have some reports on this. Yeah, because okay, no, in OBS I can actually see the bitrate dropping when that happens. That's how I know that it's lagging. I just don't always notice it, but I do know that it happens like that. I just don't know if it's a problem on the receiving end or on the on my end. But that is a fair thing. That's fair. Could be that. I might have to just look into that. Okay. Yeah, I want to consider how to do writing and reading to the same file. And closing files. After these three things are implemented, then I can consider that all the file system is refactored. Closing files is probably the easiest thing to do. So that's gonna be what I'm gonna start with. Not sure why I didn't write them here. Okay. What's surprising is it still only lags from this computer. But I guess it could explain that it's a restream, I guess. Oh well. I'll look into it a little bit during the ad break in 16 minutes, so let me begin with actually doing some coding. Okay, so I mentioned easiest thing to do for me right now is to start closing files, which requires me to just implement one function. Wait, I just saw it. I swear I just saw it. Where are you? Here, this function. Can you roast my project and tell me where I lack? I'm not opposed to the idea, but maybe towards the end of the stream? Or at the beginning of the next one? Okay, so it requires implementing one function, close file. Easy. However, there is a close files for process function, which simply iterates through the open files, finds out which process opened them, and if a process if the process that's being closed opened them, then it closes that file. So it calls this close file function. And the other day I implemented pipes. So that means the same thing needs to be done for pipes. It's kind of very similar code. So I'm just going to copy it. I'm going to implement this, and then I'm going to implement the closing the actual files. So the actual implementation of it. Okay. So in order to close a file, first I'm using this close PID because I'm using this function as a lambda type of thing to close files, but there's no capture groups in C or lambdas in C. So I have to do it like this. Sending that to the process ID, then I'm going through the hash map that contains the files. And if the process ID for the file matches the one that we're trying to close, we close the file, we remove it from the map, that's it. However, first off, I just realized, in order to do that, I created C hash map for each with a reverse so that you could go backwards in the list. So when you remove an element, because when you remove an element and then you move to the next element, that usually creates problems. If you do it in reverse, you go to the previous element. It doesn't matter if you just deleted this element, so you're good. I created it and then I set it to false, so I didn't do anything with it. All right, that's better now. Okay, in the normal file system, we have a list of a hash map of open files, which is like a dictionary of open files. When it comes to pipes, however, we have a dictionary where the value is an array. And in those, we have to go through and look at the contents. So we are going to have to do that. We're going to have to modify not the open files, but the pipe map with this function that I'm going to call close pipe list. Okay, so we're going to iterate through the hash map, which is each value is an array. And we are going to close it. Then we're not going to call the same function because that would be stupid. A little bit too recursive for my own good. And then we're going to set the close PID to -1, so just so we don't do the same thing anymore. Okay. The hash map, each value of it is in fact a C-linked list. Which we can get from just casting the value that the iterator gives us. A hack to solve the minor lag on your side is to cache your FS. The directory is closer to the OBS installation and disk. Yeah, I don't think it has to do with that. Anything like that anyway. It might have been Restream. I honestly don't understand why I didn't consider that possibility. I guess because it's been working fine so far. But yeah, maybe that's a possibility. That's what it is. I wish there was some way of knowing exactly where the bottleneck is. My internet works fine most of the times. But the problem is it works fine from Linux as well. So it's just really weird. Okay, yeah, so we get this list. We have to iterate through this list as well. So C linked list for each. Actually, we don't need a for each. I'm not even sure why we're using this for each in the first place. We could just get rid of it. Because, yeah, we could just copy this code, but yeah, whatever. You know what? Let's use the iterator. Okay, we go through the list and close pipe file, which is going to be a void function that takes a void value. Okay, there. So we iterate through the hash map, we iterate through the list inside of the hash map, and then we get the contents, which is a what? Pipe T. And if the pipe's process ID is equal to the one that we're trying to close, then we can do C linked list. Not really, not really. We can't really do that. Oh God. Oh, remove. Okay, here it is. From the list. Okay, it's so much easier to just iterate manually, I think, at least for this one. Because I can just do for C linked list node T node equal to the list head, so long as there is a node, list node is equal to, wait, a C linked list is cool, but maybe I should be using a doubly linked list. No, in this case, I don't have that problem, do I? I need to keep a reference to the previous node, since I'm not on a doubly linked list. Okay. If this value, which is a pipe T, process ID is equal to the close process ID, then we'll want to change the link to the previous ones next to the nodes next. And no, if it just so happens that the remove function is doing exactly what I want it to do. It has a while loop. Should you have a while loop in there? Not so sure about that. If it's the head, it just pops it. Fair. Otherwise, it keeps the next so long as it doesn't have the node. Okay, so it iterates through the list until it finds the node that it's trying to remove. And then it does exactly what I'm doing internally, but at least I'm skipping the double iteration. Is this the right place? Yeah, this is good. Okay. Okay, so if there's a previous node, we'll just make it point to the next node. That way we skip the node that we're currently on entirely. If not, there's no previous node. That means that we're at the head node right now. And the head node is getting replaced with its own next node. After which we will free the node and then we will free the node's data. Wait, opposite order. We'll free the node's data first, which is the size of a pipe T. I've seen them slowly becoming a Zig hipster. I've heard good things about Zig. I don't know that that's a sin. Rust is a sin. Okay, so we free the data first, then we free the node. Okay, but what about the data? Is there anything here that we need to free? Yeah, we need to close the file. Using this thing. Wait, why am I here? Using the pipes read file descriptor, you're going to close that. Then you're going to free the pipe itself. Then you're going to free the entry in the list. And then that's it. You've already removed the node from the list. Cool. Again, none of that will do anything until I implement the close file function, but I need to do that next. Before that, however, I need to implement another function for closing a global file. And then the same call using the write file descriptor. Because there are two types of files. The global file, the instance of a file. Instances point to global files. They all point to the same place, but each instance is different. Each of them has their own cursor. Each of them keeps their own state of the file. That way you have multiple instances of a file, but they're all pointing to the same place in memory. But the way that the pipe is implemented, the file that you write, that you read from, the way that it works is you read from a file, you write into another one. The one that you read from is a global file. The other one is an instance of a file. So I need to free them separately. There we go. And now I'll need to implement two close functions. I don't know why I'm having such a hard time finding this function. Here it is. All right. So nothing should change right now. Nothing should change right now. Everything should work exactly as it did before. I think I removed the pipe that I created the other day. I don't remember what it was, and it's not here anymore. But I'm not looking into pipes right now, so that's not a problem. Okay. There's an ad coming up. I swear we'll never get to implement closing files. All right, I'll be back in a minute. 3 minutes. Okay. Are you serious? All right. It looks like it's back. You threaten it. It immediately knows what to do. Oh, it's down again, for fuck's sake, bro. All right. Let me see if it comes back at least. Are you fucking serious?